All right, February the 6th, 2017. I know it's early and I've got my coffee here, but I just uploaded a video where in Rome, hundreds and hundreds of birds, starlings, fall from the sky in Rome to their death, come crashing out of the sky, and their carcasses are lining the streets of Rome. Now, from Harson's Island in Michigan, this is from the Times Herald where I live, hundreds of dead fish are found floating in Harson's Island. Dead fish in Harson's Island might be result from winter kill, is what they're saying, but I can understand a lack of oxygen in the water in the spring, but we're right in the heart of winter, February, the coldest month. Photos posted on the Facebook page show hundreds of dead fish floating in an area of Harson's Island, but state wildlife officials believe the fish died from a winter kill. The photos were posted on the Harson's Island, Michigan Facebook page. Living in the end days. Can't people understand that? Todd Wills, Lake Huron, Lake Erie Area Research Manager at the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, Lake St. Clair Fisheries Station in Harrison Township, said in an email that station staff had not been aware of the photos, which means they weren't aware of the hundreds and hundreds of dead fish. I talked to John Darling, DNR wildlife technician at the St. Clair Flats Wildlife Area on Harson's Island. He said in an email, John advised that this isn't Crispin Drain, but rather an area that is referred to as Dump Wood Slough. I'm not sure what that means. He said winter kill happens in this location every year, but in February, I suspect of this case again. This is the case again this year with a recent thaw. What recent thaw? It's 12 degrees. We've had below zero temperatures. Dead fish likely rose to the surface and then refroze after the cool down. And there's more, but we've got hundreds of birds falling out of the sky in Rome, Italy, where, of course, where the Vatican is. Now, Michigan, Harson's Island, hundreds of fish, major fish die-offs. But hang on, because there's more. Now we have hundreds of birds that fall out of the sky in Utah. And it looks like there's a video there. I'll give you the link. Draper, Utah. Residents in Draper, Utah are confused after more than 200 birds fell from the sky onto the street Monday. It's one of the rarest things I've ever heard of, Sergeant Chad Carpenter with the Draper City Police Department told KSTU rather. As I was driving, these birds were just falling out of the sky, said Draper. Resident Lacey Brown. They were all on the ground right around here and on the roadway, Brown said. They were just falling out of the sky like leaves, she added. But they weren't leaves. They were hundreds of small birds called starlings. Here we go with starlings again. Starlings in Rome, falling out of the sky, and now in America, in Utah. You've seen that black cloud as it is flying all over the place. Well, that's a starling group, and they call that flying tantrum or murmuring, as Sergeant Carpenter said. Experts said it's a technique they use to stay warm during the winter and to ward off birds of prey. But they're falling out of the sky and literally littering the ground. People on social media speculated that aliens were to blame. They're not aliens, they're demons. And let me get rid of this. The flock was poisoned or hit by lightning, but in this circumstance, that wasn't the case. Well, what was the case? You need to call on Jesus today. He's coming back. He's coming back quickly. No aliens, no cloaking device, Carpenter said, no poison. It was just one of those freak things where the birds were just flying along, crashed into the side of a large vehicle, and boom, he added. Whether it be misdirection or weather-related, something caused the lead starling, to crash, and thanks to the breed's tandem flying, the rest followed. So it's like a kamikaze, I guess. Brown says she pulled over to help and saw one man shoveling the birds out of the road. Draper Animal Services also on scene to clear the birds and collect any that were still alive. It was not a sight for the faint of heart, Brown said. It was just weird. Just a weird one, Carpenter said. While this is rare, Draper Police Department says if something like this happens to you, report it. Report it that it's the end times. I gotta have some coffee. Hang on. 17 birds are still alive and were transferred to a local rehabilitation center. The hope is they will recover and be released back into the wild. But this is wild. Hundreds of fish dead in Michigan. And hundreds of birds falling out of the sky in Rome. Starlings. Hundreds of starlings falling out of the sky in America, in Utah. It's time, and here's a video, and look at the birds. We're living in the very last days. Hundreds of birds fall out of the sky in Utah, and again, like I said, going back to January the 4th, it's not a prophecy. It's just what I predicted, that we were going to see mass animal die-offs on the major increase in 2018. I don't know. Leave me comments. Let me have your thoughts and your comments, and I'll be back in just a little bit.